Welcome to Own Your Image with Dr. Fungai Mtisi, where we transform individuals to become better people in terms of reputation management, grooming, etiquette, deportment, culture change, and any other benefit that we can derive from this show. Of course, the mission is to transform individuals to become better people. And today, we are discussing an interesting topic: access to cell phones between spouses. And to help me discuss this topic, I've got Trinos Dongo, who is representing men, and I've got Zelda Makumbe, who is representing women. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doc.
Zelda, let me start with you. As a woman, why do you feel the urgency and the need to pry in your husband's cell phone?
As a woman, I think it's appropriate for me to have his password and access to his phone. Even in the Bible, Genesis verse 2, chapter 25, it approves of naked marriage. There was nothing hidden there. Everything was open and perfect. And it brings out love, peace, intimacy, transparency. So I have to have access to his phone.
Oh, wow. Mr. Dongo, husbands, you don't want with your phones, you put passwords, and the women are saying, why? Why that? What's your take on that?
Thank you, Doc. It's not that we don't want with our cell phones. What is the purpose of a password? A password is there to protect certain information, to protect both parties. It protects me, it protects her. A relationship is founded on trust, not breaking barriers of passwords. So she must be able to trust me, I must be able to trust her.
So, Zelda, do you mean that a husband doesn't love you if they don't give you their passwords?
Not exactly. If he pledges his password, it gives me confidence, comfort, security that there's nothing he's hiding. Then I'll respect him. Thereby respecting him, you will love me more and cherish me more. Then we have a healthy relationship.
Trinos, ladies are saying confidence issues. They want to, what is it that you are keeping in your phones? You mentioned that it protects you and her. How?
I'm not keeping anything or hiding anything on my mobile phone. However, I have discovered that in our working environment, like where I work, we communicate with Dr. Fungai Mtisi, we communicate with so many ladies, and you see that sometimes some of those messages can be misinterpreted, or you don't want necessarily to bring work issues home, your issues out there in your professional life, you bring them home, there's a lot of explaining. And as I said, the marriage is not built on passwords.
And that's,
it's built on love.
And that's
and
exactly
trust.
my point, Mr. Dongo, that the misinterpretation part, I don't understand, especially like what Zelda is saying, that a message, a mere professional message would be misinterpreted by a woman. How? Have you ever encountered such situations?
I can read. I'm also human. I'll see this is professional. A love message is different from a business message. And if I have the password, there is no fuss for me to get on going through the phone. I'll be just comfortable. I know his password, so why would I go through it? Secrecy is an enemy of intimacy. As long as you keep your phone with a password, I'm sorry, you're gonna lie to me that you love me? I won't believe you because you've got a password.
Mr. Dongo, as the head of the family,
Yes.
aren't you setting a wrong precedence to this institution?
No, Fungai, it's not a wrong precedence. The thing is, we've tried to modernize and westernize our culture. Looking at our culture as it is, even the Bible that was referred to, submit to the husband love the wife. There's nothing bad about it, and maybe sometimes we're putting it out of context. So look, even before or when we're dating, right, there was no password to talk about. What has changed when I convinced you without my password to marry you, and I paid lobola, went through that process, now you want my password? What has changed?
Zelda, imemi sevakadzi musikungonetsa here kungoda maphones hazvisi kumeka sense here zvaari kutaura.
Hatisi kunetsa. Patakadanana panga pasina password because we were dating. Now we are married. We are one flesh. Taamunhu mumwe. Hapasisina chekuviga. havana vanga randinaro ravasingazivi, saka chii chinozongoti vasununguke kundipa password?
imi vakadzi muri kubva matarisa phone, like he's saying 1 hour you are going through the phone, and after that there is an interview and you are screenshotting, you are keeping this and that. Men don't like that. Do you acknowledge that?
The moment that I'm giving the password, I don't even go through the phone. I'll be proud of myself, telling my friends, I've got my man's password. Kumba kwedu tinoshare my passwords, just to make us proud, confidence, and security. Yekuti baba avana chavari kundivigira. There's nothing much that we need. We don't even have time to go through the phones.
Saka toita say, what should we do?
Fungai, women, they will go through your phone with an intention to gossip. You know, it's not true to just say you got your password and then you chill about it. Kutenda achidzika nayo phone yacho to find information, to find if this has been cheating.
Zelda, you have heard it. Your last words to men.
Trust is worked for. Varume ndururani vasina ma-passwords vanogona kunge vachifamba in a straight lane. Kuti ini ndizotanga kutarisa kuti what's happening pamwe time yekuyakomba inenge yachinja. That's when we go through their messages.
And Trinus.
Let me conclude with this, Doc. My password is my password. It's not a barrier to my wife. What makes a barrier is when the wife is now concentrating on getting access to my password, when in the first place she saw something in me, she saw a trustworthy person, we're destroying that because now her focus and energy is on getting my password. I'm trying to shift focus from that to the trust and the intangibles that are in my heart, not the password.
Can I ask him something?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, since he's the head of the house, vaisa password, ndichaisawo password.
Yes, it's fine. I never ask for my wife's password. I don't need my wife's password. And you see, already no problem. I have never gone on TV or anywhere to say I want my wife's password. Why? Ask yourself why. But why the password, young?
There you have it. We are discussing access of phones between spouses. If you are joining us, please send us your feedback. What do you think with regards to the topic? Join us after the break. Welcome back to Own Your Image with Dr. Fungai Mtisi, where we are discussing the issue of sharing passwords on the cell phones between spouses. And now I'm joined by Reverend Mandisoza, who strongly believes in manhood. Reverend, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Please talk to the man who feels that there's no need for him to share his password with his wife.
Thank you. Yes, my brother. You are right. And at the same time, it is your responsibility to decide how you need to manage your home, because you are head of the family. But however, we also have a principle where we believe that there is a marriage. There is one has to leave his parents, one has to be joined to the wife, and the two become one flesh. In that union, it's actually built on trust and honesty. So we believe that everything has to be open and openly discussed, including issues to do with passwords. So you need to argue from that perspective. Do you understand your role as a father? What is the motive behind your refusing or your refusal to release your password to the wife? So that then we can then take it from there. You are right, because you are the head, but you also need to have, there is the aspect of trust and being honesty, transparent in the marriage. How can the one flesh work together, function in that scenario?
Trinus, what's your
Yes,
take?
I can hear the Reverend. I think in any discussion, the problem is the perceptions and angles we're coming from.
Okay.
I can pose a question to Reverend, because my password protects my work, it protects a lot of things. You know, Doc, there are some emoticons that are there. Like, you can send me an emoticon with that heart or with that small cat with heart eyes. It's genuine, but when the wife opens through the password alone, it can interpret anything.
But hakuna basa rakadaro, Trinus.
Yes, but it's there. Okay, I can pose a question maybe to Reverend, don't you have, perhaps, I understand you are a counselor, don't you have certain confidential information that you cannot divulge to your wife? And how do you protect this? You protect this through your password.
Thank you very much. You are very right there. Information for professional reasons, yes, as a counselor, there is need to protect confidential information about my clients. But however, what is key for a marriage to function is communication. You can say whatever you want, but is the outcome really going to help your marriage function properly? Because at the end of the day, I need to inform my wife about the nature of my job. Hence, she has to be comfortable with whatever that is of mine. So we are saying, yes, you're right, information has to be kept, but there has to be communication. This has to be explained, that she understands the nature of your job, that she doesn't have to be worried, because then it has its own implications.
Reverend, let me take you into the church setup.
Yes.
Have you experienced this kind of debate whereby people come to you and say, we are having problems and the source is the cell phone?
Yes, there have been a number of several issues, and we have even had societal issues involving cell phones, a lot of marriage disputes, and a lot of issues. But however, it goes back again to looking at the maybe foundation of the marriage, the understanding of the marriage, the roles. Because the husband is supposed to love the wife is supposed to submit. Then this is a question of roles. So in that particular case, there are things that you naturally expect things to happen. There has to be communication between the two and understand how the couple needs to deal with issues of passwords and how they're going to manage their information. Because these people, we expect them to function from an understanding what it means marriage. Because at the end of the day, it starts with God, comes with the husband, and then come to the level of children. There has to be a hierarchy. So where are you basing from?
From my understanding, husband and wife, this is one person. Honestly, can it be an issue of saying, I don't care whether there's a cell phone or not? Yes, you can say it.
Can I interject on that perhaps before we go? He's coming on a spiritual base, but let's bring this thing to real life. By real life, I'm not trying to separate spirituality, but what is going on the ground? I think we have missed the conception on what is the purpose of the password. Because according to this discussion, the husband is putting his password for his wife, period. But that's not the case. Some lady out there can admit or confess or profess her love to me. Without my consent, without anything, she just smashes into my phone, she gets there. And guess what? That's when I've put my phone down, this message comes in, my wife accesses the phone, and what a disaster. I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just trying to say it's protecting and giving me the access. After all, the password is removable.
And what's
when
wrong?
I open my phone, I can then give my
But
wife.
Trinos, and what's wrong with you telling your wife that there's someone who is saying something to you? What's
Yes.
wrong to say, look, so-and-so is asking for love from me? What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, Doc. He talked about communication. If there's that communication in the marriage to say we talk about these things face to face, why does the wife have to take my phone behind my back while I'm in the shower or the lavatory, and then she goes through my phone and then confronts me after going through my phone? What is it that she suspects that she couldn't come to me directly? That's why I say there's misconception about the password. I'm not putting the password for my wife. I'm putting the password to protect my information, my confidential work, and all that stuff. If the relationship is healthy, let's talk face to face, not through the password.
Reverend, your last words.
My
to the men.
last words is what affects people mostly is what they see and what they hear. So what you spend more time looking at is what affects you at the end of the day. So if you are to look at certain things privately, then we have got question marks as to what is entertaining this man. We are not affected by their surroundings, but what is coming outside, what you're seeing, what you convey, what you do after what you have seen is what becomes dangerous. So remember, the wife is protecting your marriage, your life. So the motive behind releasing the password should be understood in the context of saving and safeguarding the marriage.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming to the show.
You're welcome.
Own Your Image with Dr. Fungai Mtisi, having access to cell phones between spouses. Join me after the break. Welcome back to Own Your Image with Dr. Fungai Mtisi, where we are discussing access to cell phones between spouses. And now I'm joined by Dominic Musengi, a renowned and seasoned lawyer who is going to help us discuss this issue. Welcome to the show and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I've got Mrs. Makumbe here, who strongly feels that she must have access to her husband's cell phones. From a legal point of view, what's your view?
Thank you, Doc. The law is quite clear. I would do no better than quote the supreme law of the land, the Constitution. It says in section 57 that every person has got a right to privacy and a right not to have, among other things, their communication infringed upon, their property searched. A cell phone is property. What is contained in a cell phone is communication. Those are protected by the supreme law of the country, the Constitution.
Mrs. Makumbe, you have heard it from the legal person.
All right, I would like to ask, so it means I'm not allowed to have my husband's password. If I have the password go through his phone, I'm breaking the law.
Let me correct. It's not that you are not allowed. You are not entitled to the password. Right? With his permission, of course, you may go through and access the phone.
Let me ask something. Suppose she has got hacked your phone or something else, then accidentally or whatever, she gets the information that you're cheating or there's something that you're doing that is not really allowed. Can she come to courts and law and claim and use the information that she has gotten from your phone as evidence?
I would indicate that at law, the way in which evidence has been obtained is relevant. You can't use illegally obtained evidence against a particular person.
But the facts are there.
But
that you are cheating.
When you actually come to cheating, let me be very clear. If you are married, that relationship is based on trust. If you want to terminate that relationship, it is not necessary to get V11s, as it were. If you no longer want or love your husband or your spouse, and you wanted to terminate that relationship, it is not necessary to infringe upon a person's constitutional rights in order to get out of that marriage. The issue is, what do you want to do with the information that you get?
Exactly. I think let me throw it back to Zelda. What do you need the information for? The information that you get from his phone?
Having his password, like I said before, I don't want to get any information, but I want to have security and comfort that is hiding nothing from me, only.
I think, Mr. Dominic, women are justified. Let's take, for instance, there's an accident and the husband is lying there. You need money, you need to transact through his phone. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with the permission of the owner of the gadget, and it is not a very good assumption that the man would have the money and not the woman. If it is a normal relationship, in terms of getting a man to a hospital, a woman ought to be able to do that on their own. And I wanted to say other things relating to that access. That and it's not necessarily because of wanting that information for medical reasons. And this is a matter of life and death. I would want to draw your attention to the matter of State versus Nsoro, a High Court Harare matter 190 of 2016, where because of the insistence of the wife in getting the message that had been delivered via phone to a husband, a fight ensued where the men got violent when the lady was insistent that I must get that message. And that fight degenerated into fatal violence, and the men actually got killed by the wife because of that insistence to want to infringe on what is in a cell phone. And the High Court judge who dealt with that matter was categoric that there is no law that allows a wife to access forcibly what is in a person's cell phone and their messages. If the husband wants to share, or a spouse wants to share what is in the cell phone based on trust, they will do so. Because a person is married, they do not communicate exclusively with their spouse. In fact, most of the communication that anyone does, man or woman, is with third parties. If, for example, you are a lawyer, clients may send confidential information. If you are a doctor, patients may send confidential information. If you are a priest or a reverend or a church leader, people in your church may send confidential information that they want only you or only a spouse to get, and not necessarily their other spouse. Because we are married, it is very clear, trust is built. Just because you are married to a person, it does not mean that their friends, their clients, their patients, their church members, their relatives are now suddenly expected to trust you the very minute that you are married to them. It does not work like that. If, in fact, I would go so far as to say that for a professional to let their communication gadget lying around carelessly, such that people can access it in their home, may actually be an ethical issue, thing that ought not to be allowed, because it infringes on the right to privacy, not only of the spouse, but of that third party who has no relationship with you. And maybe let me also indicate on that score that there are certain innocent communications that may be misconstrued. There are people who use words like dear, sweetheart, honey, indiscriminately.
I do that a lot.
And if those sort of words were to be found on a spouse cell phone by the intruding spouse, there will be a lot of questions and doubts that may be needlessly come out. Sometimes no more one. What you do not know does not hurt. So do not give yourself the bother or the burden of wanting to construe correctly words that may have been communicated to your spouse innocently.
I do hear you. I only have one more question for you. Am I being protected by the law as well if I do not allow my husband to access my phone?
Perfectly. The law is gender neutral. What is good for the husband is good for the woman.
Will the law take me back into my marriage when I refuse with my password? If my husband just decides to say, no, Zelda, you have to go away because I no longer trust you, you're not giving me your password.
I have been a lawyer for 25 years. Not once have I seen anyone divorcing a person solely on the basis that you did not give me your password. There will be other issues. If a woman or a man is divorced because of the password, believe you me, that would not be the root cause of that divorce
Thank you very much for coming. I'm sure the women have understood, and Mr. Lawyer, you have explained everything. What an interesting discussion that we have had. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
On Your Image with Dr. Fungai Mtisi, you have had it. Learn to develop trust between your husband and your wife. Learn the legal implications of prying into your spouse's cell phone. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube On Your Image with Dr. Fungai Mtisi. Please write to us. We want to find out what you think about issues that affect you as people. Join us next time. It's a bye for now.
On Your Image.